Welcome to today's Liberated Body Circle. Today's topic is rest without earning it. This is a topic that is extremely important to me for many reasons. The first being that I have recognized and developed awareness around the many ways that we live within societies in which we are constantly pressured to be productive, which means that at some point we learn that if you're resting and you're not producing, that you are not someone who is valuable in society because you're not continuously producing. And what this has created is a society full of people who feel guilty about resting and feel like we have to earn that rest. I know because I was living in New York City for a long time and I felt this constant need to be doing something. It was a very rare occasion that I decided to stay home, quote unquote, do nothing, which now I've learned that doing nothing is actually resting our bodies. And I found it so hard to do this in that life that I lived that was so fast paced and so full of tempting, wonderful things to do on one hand, but on the other hand, feeling like if I did stop for 1 minute, that I was losing time. I was missing out on something. The FOMO, the wanting to constantly be a part of something, it was very present during this chapter of my life. Ever since I left New York, little by little, I've been able to detach myself from those feelings of if I'm not producing and I'm not active, then I'm not productive. So it's been a long journey of trying to disentangle myself from these sensations. Do you identify with any of these? I'll give you a moment to reflect on that, on the many ways that you perhaps do not allow yourself to rest without earning it. Or perhaps you are a lot further in this journey and you do understand the value of rest. So wherever you are in this journey, this practice today is an invitation to simply rest into each posture that we're going to do. We're going to do more of a soft yoga flow today in which we take our time. So in thinking about somatics and how we can use our bodies to begin practicing skills that we need for real life. Something that I really like to practice and place a lot of focus and attention to is how can we slow down in terms of the rhythm that our body is moving in? How can we use these moments of either stillness or slow movement in order to begin fostering a life that is a little slower or that allows us to rest without feeling guilty? I'm a big believer that if we can practice these things in our somatic practices, whatever that might be, maybe it's taking time during a run, or maybe it's dancing through movement that's very slow, or maybe it's sitting here with me right now, going into this practice of trying to slow your movements down. So what happens in our bodies when we do that? What do we feel? What comes up mentally? So we're going to go through a quick practice today that challenges us to really allow ourselves to rest into the movement or enjoy the stillness of the movement without any pressure and without feeling like I needed to earn this. So if you have a mat or a blanket or something comfortable to sit on, whatever works for you, please go ahead and grab that right now. Find a comfortable seated position to start entering into the practice. And I'll start with giving you an affirmation today. The affirmation is, I am allowed to rest. So just take a moment to close your eyes and repeat this to yourself. I am allowed to rest. And as you say those words, notice what happens in your body by just saying the words, I am allowed to rest. And take a few moments to check in with your body today, just to notice if there's any place where you might be holding some tension. If something feels a little sore from some other exercise you were doing, just jumping into this moment of being aware of what's happening in your thoughts and what's happening in your body. Now, keep this affirmation with you throughout this practice. And when you find your mind wandering as we go through this very slow flow, come back to this affirmation and remind yourself, I am allowed to rest. If you begin thinking about work or all of the other things that are on your to-do list, just repeat these few words to yourself. I am allowed to rest. Take a moment to notice your breath. Just notice your immediate pattern of breathing without changing anything. Just giving yourself a moment to connect with your body, to be rooted, to arrive to this present moment before we begin this slow flow practice. And let's take a deep breath together. So let's inhale through the nose and exhale ever so slowly through the nose. And let's begin here with trying to slow down by inhaling very slowly. So take your time as you're inviting air into your body, into your lungs, oxygenating all the parts of your body. And take your time as you exhale ever so slowly. Let's repeat that 2 or 3 more times, finding a rhythm that works for you, but really trying to slow things down. So even starting with the breath, going against the rhythm of what everyday life requires from us with our 40+ hour work weeks, juggling multiple jobs, perhaps balancing work with family, with personal life. And take one more deep breath here. And now we're going to begin moving our fingers and moving our toes. And when you feel ready, gently begin to blink your eyes until they're completely open, but just take your time. We're starting this practice out together today. And the first thing we're going to do is to extend one arm out by your side, letting it crawl to a place that is comfortable for you. And then we're going to use our breath and use our inhale to inhale very slowly as we slowly start to extend our arm up overhead. So we're trying to find the slowness in the movement today and keep extending to a point that's comfortable for you. So if that's comfortable, you can start there. If you'd like to go a little deeper, you can keep extending the fingertips and extending the arms. And then we'll hold this for just a few breaths. So through our movement and through this moment of stillness, we're exploring these slow rhythms of life, starting with our bodies and the way that we move through life. You should feel a nice extension in the side part of your body without pressure. If it starts to get a little intense, just back off a little bit. And then let's slowly release. So again, coming out of this ever so slowly. And then from here, we can twist our entire bodies to that same side that you just moved your body in. So again, taking your time to twist, placing one hand on the knee, and then continuing to twist your body all the way around to the back. You can give yourself a little extra support by planting one hand behind you. And just get a nice twist. Let's take a deep inhale together. And on the exhale, let's unwind ever so slowly. Coming back to a neutral position here. Let's inhale deeply. And begin to walk your hands out to the other side. So we're moving ever so slowly through this movement today. And let's take another inhale, palm faces up towards the sky as we slowly begin lifting our arms up overhead. Inhaling, taking your time, there's no rush. And then we can lean into that extended posture. So you can extend your fingertips a little more depending on what feels good for you. Opening that side part of the body, finding a place where you can rest for a moment or two. Extending up overhead. And just breathe into this for a few breaths. And let's inhale as we start to come back to our neutral position. Exhale as you bring your arm down. Let's take a deep inhale again together. And on the exhale, let's begin to twist our bodies over to the other side. So your hand meets with your knee. You're twisting your spine, maybe planting that back hand behind you, and then turning your head all the way around, getting a nice extension. Resting here for a breath or two. And remember, if your mind starts to wander as we're holding any of these asanas today, just come back to your affirmation. I am allowed to rest. Let's inhale together. And on the exhale, go ahead and release. Coming back to your center ever so slowly, taking your time. And now let's take a deep inhale. And again, slowly raise the arms up over your head. Let's look up towards the sky or up towards the ceiling if you're inside of your place. Take a couple of breaths here. Let's take one more inhale together. And on the exhale, let's begin to melt our bodies down. So melting, really taking your time. There's nothing that we need to rush for right now. And then if you like, you can slowly begin to walk your hands forward, little by little, finding a resting point here. Whatever feels good. It might be your forearms. You might be able to fully extend today. Wherever you're landing, take a moment to rest and breathe from that very position. Now, this next part depends on which leg you have in front. If you have the right leg in front, begin walking your legs over to the right side little by little. Again, taking your time. And we're just going to change the posture ever so slightly by relaxing into this side. If you had your left leg in front, then you would have gone to the left side. And we're going to do this on both sides. So first, let's walk our hands back to center, taking our time here. Let's inhale as we lift the arms back up. Let's exhale and hold. And then from here, we're just going to change whichever foot is in front. So go ahead and bring the other foot in front. We'll pause here for a breath or two more. Remember, we're taking our time. There's nothing to rush through right now. We're going against the rhythm that life normally demands of us by simply choosing to move a little bit slowly through life through this somatic practice today. In this case, we are doing some asana practice today. Notice what's coming up for you as you're not doing too much in every second, really taking time to relish the moment, to stay in a pose for probably much longer than what you're used to if you are already a yoga practitioner. And let's take one more inhale together. And on the exhale, let's begin to melt our body all the way down. You can go ahead and walk your hands forward to wherever is a comfortable point for you today. And we're just resting here, resting in the stillness, engaging in movement that is quite slow, quite static today, in an effort to move against this normal pace of life that normally demands us to be so much faster, moving from one activity to the next, one responsibility to the next. Really taking time to rest without earning it, to rest simply because it feels good to rest. And let's inhale as we start to walk our hands up. And now, depending on which foot you have in front, let's begin to walk our hands over to the other side. So again, taking your time. Should be the opposite leg. And then we're going to just relax into this. Let's take a breath or two more here. And let's inhale as we begin to walk our hands back to the center. Take another exhale to relax one more time. And let's inhale as we lift our arms up. Taking up space, taking your time through time and space. And then let's exhale and to float the arms down. Now I'd like to invite you to bring your feet in just about a little wider than hip width distance apart. And now we're just going to drop our hips over to one side and drop them over to the other side. And again, finding a really slow pace that feels your body right now as you're doing this. So moving consciously, moving slowly, taking your time as you drop your hips over to one side and then the other. And then we can stop there. And let's go ahead and take a wide-legged stance. So we can just begin by staying in this wide-legged stance for a moment. So let's go ahead and inhale and exhale. So I'm already feeling a little bit of movement and tension release here in my inner thighs. You might be feeling that. Oh, I am naturally flexing my toes. Let's try to let them be really relaxed here. Again, trying to enjoy these moments of stillness. Again, trying to enjoy these moments. Relax into the movement. And to really let your whole body soften up into this moment of stillness. If you feel like there are muscles that are tensing up or clenching, Take a deep breath and imagine yourself slowly releasing those muscles. And let's take an inhale as we slowly start to walk the hand, whatever it might be, a comfortable place on your knee, on your inner thigh, or even a little bit further down your shin if you've got that flexibility. And then let's inhale deeply as we slowly begin to bring our arms up overhead, moving very slowly, and then eventually extending into this side bend. So it doesn't really matter how deep you go in this movement. What matters most is that you're opening your chest, maybe even shifting your gaze up towards the sky, and that it feels good for you to rest into this moment. If it doesn't feel good, you might want to try making some little adjustments in your body. And then simply holding and breathing into this moment. Let's take 2 more breaths here. So let's inhale, and then we're just going to change our direction ever so slightly over to the same way that you had initially extended your arm. And on the exhale, let's just drop our bodies ever so slightly. So drop to wherever feels good for you. If staying right here is what feels good, then stay there. And let's inhale the arm back up overhead. Coming back to the center and just taking a moment to observe, taking a moment to notice what happened in your body on that side. And let's go ahead and take a deep breath in together. And exhale. And again, let's start to rock our hands or crawl our hands over to a point on your leg that feels good. So again, it could be on your thigh, it could be on your knee, or if you have a little more flexibility, you can extend a little further. And let's take a deep inhale together. Inhaling your arm up overhead ever so slowly, and eventually leaning into that. And again, thinking about opening your butt, opening the side body into this stretch, landing wherever you land. Also, a practice of testing your limits, especially when we're moving really slowly, because things can get really intense really quickly when you're holding and you're enjoying and lingering in this moment of stillness. So find whatever your edge is without harming yourself, with listening to your body, listening to the signals that your body is giving, and responding with compassion. So let's hold here for just a few breaths. Before we completely release, we're going to twist over to the other side. And again, we will drop our bodies in this direction. So listening to what your body is saying, listening to when your body is saying that's enough. Going wherever feels good for you. And again, if your mind starts to wander, come back to your mantra, your affirmation of today. I am allowed to rest. And let's inhale ever so slowly to start lifting our bodies back up. We can shake out our legs just a little bit, shaking them back in towards your center. And then go ahead and find a cross-legged position. Hands can be placed wherever feels comfortable for you, maybe on your belly, maybe on your knee, somewhere else. And notice what came up for you during this practice. What did you feel in those moments that you were really trying to take your time, moving through the movements and the different postures? What thoughts, feelings, or sensations accompanied you today during this practice? As you were using the affirmation, I am allowed to rest, how was your body responding to that? That is all very important feedback that you can listen to. Sometimes our bodies want to resist the thing that needs most. So stuff, cycles that we've built in our lives. And it's hard to break the pattern. But little by little, when you start to do something a little bit differently, to develop little by little, your body becomes used to it. And let's bring our hands to our heart center. A little bit of contact with the heart this moment. Coming back to our affirmation, we'd like to join in saying the affirmation once more. We can take a deep breath together. Repeat after me and say, I am allowed to rest. Thank you so much for being a part of the Liberated Body Circle. I would love to know your thoughts in terms of what you experienced in today's practice. Today's practice was a gentle, slow flow through a few yoga asana postures that were meant to allow us a moment of rest, a moment of stillness while still being present in our bodies. But do you really believe that you are allowed to rest? So I encourage you to journal about this, drop a comment in the chat if you like, if you feel like you'd like to discuss what you felt through the practice. And remember that we've got the Liberated Body Circle happening every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and 7 p.m. Central European time. So I hope to see you in the next live session very, very soon.